guys, give in to your FOMO. Purchase at Kickstarter instead of cheaper down the line for a vetted game.
Wait a minute. Halloween was last week. Welcome to Room and Board. This is Crowdfunding Countdown, where we take a look at every single board game campaign finishing up this week. And we got a doozy this week, maybe, or maybe it's just garbage. Who knows? We're going to find out together. I have 25 tabs open on my screen, and we'll see how many I actually talk about. I've already nixed a few that just look bad. Still have funded, but look bad, and I'm not going to waste your time with. But some I will waste your time with, and we are going to get into every single board game campaign, finishing up on Kickstarter, GameFound, and BackerKit that yours truly deems moderately acceptable to bring to the general public. But first, huge shout out to my newest patrons, Jonathan and Kamal. Thank you so much for joining, jumping on board, jumping on the room and board, jumping on me and squishing me down like the little bug that I am. Thanks for jumping on board and supporting the channel. It really does mean such an incredible amount. I know the effort that it takes, or the motivation that it takes, to actually go through and support the channel and go that extra mile and let me spend as much time as I do on these videos, especially these sorts of videos in particular, and I'm just really grateful. I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to all of my patrons. So thank you for jumping on board. And speaking of patrons, remember, there is that Cthulhu Death May Die giveaway happening over on the Reasons to Not Back Cthulhu Death May Die Fear of the Unknown, so make sure you drop a comment on that and subscribe if you haven't. It's weird, when I check the numbers for this series, I would think the subscriber number versus non-subscribed would be fairly disparate, because I feel like this is niche, and if you're here, well, you must like me. Other than, of course, all the nonsense that I get up to. I just wish I would treat this like a professional, but I just can't. Probably because my whole family was kidnapped by bears. Don't believe the bears. There's a smear campaign headed up by some ravenous bears, but I know that it's the bears because they said that the bears killed my families, and bears are horrible liars and trying to make themselves look more cruel than they are, when in fact all they did was kidnap my family, and I am receiving proof of life on the daily just to torment me. So maybe they're even more sadistic. Anyway, I'll try to treat this episode like a professional with zero jokes and really just be as monotonous as possible moving forward. Or at least that's what the cue cards are telling me to say, being held just off screen by a bear. Please, they've gotten into my... Oh, I wish I had a mask. That would have been a better cut. I come back and I'm just in a grizzly mask. Oh, that would have been so good. And Halloween's over too. It'll probably be hard to find a bear mask. TBD. That joke will come at some point in time. Just kidding. I'm a professional. And as a professional, let's get into all the games that are finishing up this week. Starting with the Circus of Mhodyrak, which is a Lovecraft immersive escape room. I always like just touching upon these escape rooms briefly because I like escape rooms. I do. I haven't been to an escape room in a long time. If you live in Toronto, Escape Games Canada, or if you're visiting Toronto, seriously, Escape Games Canada are some of the best escape rooms out there. Incredible production value. I highly recommend, or at least they were when I went, pre-pandemic. I'm sure their quality has continued. There's also a great place in Winnipeg that I went when I was on contract that maybe I'll tell you about if I remember. It doesn't matter. And there's also a great online escape room. One episode, we haven't ever gotten back to it and probably never will, but check out webscapade.com. That was something that me and my neighbor kind of put together. Anyway, here we have Key Enigma. They backed the Dice Tower, and they've put together 3 different escape rooms before this, all funding around the 100,000 euro area, which is pretty good. It means people are returning, and people are enjoying these enough to return. This is sitting at the 60,000 euro area right now. Although judging by their previous comments, we got Steve who says it was an outstanding job, and then we have Brendan who says reeks of cigarette smoke and the actual game inside looks pretty unimpressive. Lesson learned, won't back again. And then Ryan, to break the tie, received a non-deluxe version. Hopefully the puzzles are well done. Haven't looked at the components, but the box isn't the greatest. Similar to what you see in a disposable game that costs $15 to $20. No shipping info received, and no game. Seems to be on par for the course for this project. It's not a good look for their previous campaigns, and that's kind of the only basis you can have to go off of for these escape room style games. So here's your word of warning. That's my Discord burning every single game imaginable, probably. That's your word of warning for Circus of Mhodyrak. Doesn't seem like something you should back at all. So don't. Off to a good start, I'd say. Let's move on to In the Heart of Darkness, a dynamic, strategic, immersive survival horror board game filled with nightmares and your slim chance to make it out alive. No rulebook on this main campaign page, which is very annoying to me. They do have a Tabletopia link, and that's the little trick if you're interested in the rulebook, unless I missed it. If you're interested in reading the rulebook for yourself, and there ever is a Tabletopia link, click on that, because then you can click on this little thing that says rules, and that's how you can actually get to the rule book. Why they didn't put it on their main campaign page, who knows? I'm intrigued by this one. I'm intrigued by one mechanic, which is all that it takes to get me intrigued. I'm a simple boy. But here you have this main map, and you're going to start in a different location depending upon your protagonist. You're going to have a bunch of varied protagonists. And the important thing in the game is that you cannot communicate unless you are in the same location as someone. You can't gesture, you can't talk, and there are going to be cards that are turning up every round. You can see this little track down here as to where you are in the stages of the Heart of Darkness, and the monsters will get more and more powerful, or the events will get more and more despair-filled, riddled with despair, just riddled with it, like a Danganronpa wet dream. And these indicate, sort of what bad things happen to you, and you have to deal with them. You have to get rid of all the creatures in the deck, or you just have to collect all the ship parts, build a ship, and get the heck out of there, or you have to collect all the walkie-talkie parts, call for help, then get to that ship and get out of there. So I like that there's variable ways to win on your turn. It's fairly standard. You can move, you can fight, you can search a location, you can interact with people. I think the key here is going to be if you buy into that no communication rule that it's built around, and I like that. That is a significant draw for me. It does look better than the previous game, Dungeons of Dragmar, which looked fine. It just looked a bit repetitive as you went through this sort of dungeon crawling. It's $44 US, $15 shipping to the US, $17 to Canada. That's about standard. That's about standard for what it is right now. Altogether, that gets you like $60 US total, $80 Canadian. I mean, $80 Canadian too much. 60, you might go, yeah, okay. I would want to pay. I don't know. I'm intrigued by the map and the communication restrictions. I like those sort of communication restrictions, so that's what does draw me in for this. But that's kind of the only thing that does draw me in. And then I have to question, okay, well, what if I just put those communication restrictions on any co-op game? Would it work and tickle me the exact same way as this does? Pandemic, but you can't communicate unless you're at a research station, or if you're at a similar location, or if you're in the same region, right? You could do these sort of levels of communication. And that would actually be pretty cool. See? That gets me going, and it's just for Pandemic. So I'm not sure I'm actually drawn into the actual gameplay itself because it seems fairly standard, but I like that take on it. And then if you find the art engaging and you like this sort of co-op survival, looks decent. If you're interested, that does finish on Wednesday, November 9th at 10:52. Moving along to Cthulhu Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown. If you've jumped ahead to here, remember to go to that other video. I'm trying to give you a game here. I'm trying to give you another one if I get to 10,000 before the end of the year. This is at $3 million Canadian, 2.244. And the biggest change, if you haven't seen the other video I put out on this, I'm not going to talk too much about this one. But the biggest change that has happened is that, well, they've added in 23 23 new investigators, 3 additional lost episodes, a bunch of monsters. This big boy is going to be unlocked. And you can now add in the Season 4 expansion for $65, which if you're paying for the shipping, hey, I'll pump you up. Might as well do that. Certainly get the Season 4 expansion, where if you look at it, 2 Elder Gods, 6 Investigator figures, versus the Unspeakable box, which is 2 Elder Gods, 18 Investigator figures. You don't even need them. 7 Unknown Monster cards. 20 Monster figures versus 18. Oh, no, where is it? 11 monster figures. This is just the better version right here. 6 episode boxes instead of 3 episode boxes. There's no reason why, if you're torn between the two, you need to get this Unspeakable box anymore. It's have it be put from your mind. It's a garbage investment. It's only for those people who got it first off to get the broken stretch goals, and now you have the better season 4 content with more replayability for half the price. It's a no-brainer. Do that instead of the Unspeakable box, and don't say, well, I'm going to buy the Unspeakable box and then I can sell it. No, shame on you. Don't take advantage of other people's excitement. Call them up and say, hey, go buy this box or jump onto my pledge and sell it at cost. Get out of here. I mean, do what you want. If you really love Cthulhu Death May Die, I know you're getting the Unspeakable box, but this is just my hard-hitting attempt to cool your jets. It's bad, though. The Season 4 expansion being at $65, which is like $90 Canadian. I need to keep reminding myself that. Let's look at it, because our dollar is just horrible right now. 87 Canadian, 88 Canadian. Even though I know this to be true, it makes me want to do a bundle for Fear of the Unknown and Season 4. And I need to go watch my own video and talk myself down, because it just looks cool. It really does. What was the last thing I backed? Oh yeah, it was last week, and it was Bez's game. But the one before, what was the one before that? What was the one before that? Was it February? Have I been a good boy and gonna get myself a little treat? I wouldn't begrudge anyone for purchasing this. It is $100, and you're getting a bunch of stuff, but it's really going to be, oh my gosh, the amount of stuff you have to scroll down. They just love doing this and showing it to you over and over again. Before you get to the shipping, 33 to 45 if you trust that that is accurate. 48 to 63 in Canada. It used to be 33. I've been sitting here in silence for a while. I don't know. I really don't. I need to take my own advice, and I'm only drawn in because of this extra stuff. And I realize that I'm only drawn in by this extra stuff. And if I were to get it, that would, completely trash all the people who are holding on to me as the bastion of self-control. So I guess for you all, maybe I won't pull the trigger. I could justify that. I could justify that. But honestly, it's a toss-up. For $100, 133, oof, this is likely gonna be the pick for you or something, and I hope it isn't, but it probably will be this week. We've got a couple contenders, but if you're interested in that, remember that finishes Wednesday at 8 p.m., and I know this because the giveaway, the winner, will be announced tomorrow at 8 p.m., and that way you can have enough time to know if you won, which I hope you did, you specifically, and none of the other fools, then you can cancel your pledge, and I will have made one person do it. No, I mean, Cthulhu Death May Die, it looks good. It really does. If you like that sort of thing. I feel the pull. I really feel the pull. And so I'm glad. I'm glad that I do feel the pull, because I'm glad that that's the sort of game that I wanted to use my giveaway on. So that's cool. All right, moving on just quickly to the Kids on Bikes 2nd edition. This is the role-playing game, Kids on Bikes, the role-playing game, and I only care about this because of the Snallygaster situation that we were talking about in our death match, last month's death match, and the fact that one of my patrons picked it up and they were like, yo, you better not be horrible, and then they said, no, it wasn't horrible, you're off the hook, it was fun. And so I'm excited, and this kind of connects me to that. I'm not a huge RPG guy. I mean, I enjoy it, but I'm not the expert on RPGs whatsoever. That's Zach. I'm contemplating getting Zach to do a monthly video about an RPG that he likes. Just, talk about an RPG that he likes and bring that to you all. Let me know if that's something you would be interested in, and then I'll make Zach do it, because I'm not good at it. PDF for $25, that feels standard, I think. But again, I'm not the expert. But I just wanted to mention it, and I just want to put a link below if that sort of thing interests you. And then it, buffs up my numbers, makes me seem like I covered more when I really didn't. On to the next one. Curses and Covens, Hide Your Witches. And yes, I only want to talk about this one because of the title. Congratulations, Curses and Covens. Hide your witches. Hide your spells. A card game about hiding and hunting witches in friendly towns and causing chaos along the way. Oh, the towns are friendly to the witches that they're hiding. That makes more sense than the towns being friendly to you. And saying, yeah, you want some witches? They're in the barn. It'd be a fairly easy and, kind of bleak game if we go down that line of thought. Let's not do that. I also want to highlight it because of this one sentence in the video. And together we're 1,000 rats. I'm picturing these two people as being 1,000 rats in a human skin suited trench coat. Keep it professional. Yeah, they're rats, not bears. If this sort of thing seems fun to you, there's a $1 Australian 60-cent US print and play. That's how you lowball. That's how you get some print and play pledges. Go donate 60 cents if you like the rats in a trench coat joke that I came up with. That wasn't them. They inspired it. It's a co-production. Oh, that's cool. It's free shipping in Australia. I love to see that. I'm looking for the rule book. I don't see it there. It was described in the rules. It's described in the rules. Basically, there's a town, and they show their whole hand, and then they pick up their cards, and you can't communicate as the town. You swap cards around with other people, and then the witch hunter draws cards, hoping to draw witches. And so the witch hunter saw where the witches were, and has to keep track of them in some sort of witchy shell game, which I'm okay with. It seems a bit basic, but I don't want you to be able to shuffle your cards. If you can shuffle your cards, I'm against it entirely. If you can't shuffle your cards, then I think it's okay. Because if you shuffle your cards, then it's just, I'll draw a random card and that's boring. But if you don't shuffle your cards, then it becomes a shell game of switching and swapping and pulling tricks on the witch hunter. And I think it'll probably still be easy for the witch hunter to keep track of, but at least it seems like it would be a fun game for the witch hunter. I don't think it would be that as fun as the town. But if you're interested in that, check that out Wednesday, November 9th at 10:16 p.m. Let's move along to Pampero, a clean energy game for 1 to 4 players. This one's raised a lot of money, and I have never heard of it until right now. So let's check it out. And, well, at least the publisher rates it a 10 out of 10. That's good on Board Game Geek. Unfortunately, a few of the other ones with some in-depth reviews of them rated a little less highly, which is good because it dampens my enthusiasm, because I was about to be very excited, and I still might be. This is from the same designer as Mercado de Lisboa. Well, he co-designed that one with Vital Lacerda, and this gives me major Lacerda vibes as well. That doesn't. This does. Completely unformatted rules. That's okay. Over halfway down the page. That's, well, sorry. Less than halfway down the page, I should say. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I can go to exactly the spots that I want to know the more specifics about. Doesn't matter that's unformatted. This might be the best rulebook I've ever seen on a Kickstarter page because of how accessible it is with these little clickable links, like this beautiful illustration of the main board. Oh, I just want to do that. There we go. You're welcome. Let's get back to some visual elements. Basically, you're going to be putting these action cards down, and as they're highlighting, you can play it so it shows one of these areas, A, B, or C. That determines where on the board you're able to play, in the A section, the B section, or the C section, which is, the most industrial section. Then you're also going to have your power grid board, your battery board, where you get contracts and you'll put your windmills and stuff out on the board and try to get more and more contracts and complete more and more money. And in theory, this seems really neat. I am calmed down by two things. One, I think I'm being really drawn in by the actual production of the thing more than the gameplay of the thing. I like this card where you get to retrieve your rightmost card every turn, and then you get to play it again, and then you can't use the cards that are still down. They kind of take up a space. But I also wish that when they were taking up a space, you got to use them again, that you would chain them in some way. That's a different game. That's not what this game is. This is a game where you're trying to optimize not having to pick up all your cards all at once, which is another action that you can do. And there is a cool balance because you're playing 3 cards and then you're retrieving the rightmost cards. So you're juggling at least one of them you won't get to retrieve because you'll be using the top and the lower tracks. This is also great though. It says that Julian was the one who developed the solo mode for Lisboa and CO2 Second Chance, which I know for you solo players out there, that might perk up your ears and make you interested. $16 shipping US is $16 as well, and that's pretty good for a game that's going to be chonky and a big box and probably fairly heavy. And it also says 1 shipping rate no matter what you pledge, so you can pledge for, well, the retailers or the stretch goals. I wonder if that applies for a number of group buys. That's a little unclear. I don't know. I feel like there's too much going on here, but again, if you like Vital Lacerda and you're able to get those games to the table, maybe that's right up your alley. 85 plus 16, so it's 101 total to get to your door, and that's fairly good for the quality of stuff that you're getting here. just the physical components of dual layer player boards. I don't want to oversell it. If this main mechanic speaks to you, well, there are a few more things that you'll want to consider. I can see the interesting aspect of having a lost action throughout it, and the fact that it does get cheaper the more cards you keep, so the more effective you are in your planning, you actually get to save money down the line. I don't know. I'm on the fence with this one. The fact that it comes in at 85, I mean, it's still 130 bucks Canadian for me, and for something that I'm on the fence with, that should not be a purchase for me. I'm getting sucked into the Kickstarter machine, but it's certainly not too much shipping. And I think this is exactly the sort of game where if you like Lacerda, this is a Lacerda knockoff. This is like getting that Gucci purse that's spelled Goochy. Perhaps that's offensive to Julian. He is his own person and his own designer, but I mean just in terms of price and feel. The fact that you can get this a bit cheaper than, what was Lacerda's last one? Well, other than Bot Factory, where they give away bundles of everything, always including Mercado de Lisboa, which wasn't selling as well. That also makes me pause a bit on this one. Yeah, Weather Machine was 129 US, and this is 85 US. Anyway, I'm not going to spend more time on it. I've got too much to check out. We're not even a third of the way through, but this one was a pleasant surprise. So if you're interested, check that out. I think it's worth looking into and considering. That finishes November 10th at 1:01 p.m. Next up, we have Race to the Raft. The Isle of Cats is on fire. Build paths, place tiles, and save cats in this cooperative board game for 1 to 4 players. By Frank West, who did the Isle of Cats. This is another Isle of Cats sort of thing. This is great. And by that I mean this is great that I'm not interested in it whatsoever, because it's too expensive for me. Oh, okay. I thought this was the regular edition. This is the Kickstarter edition. It's only £50, 77 Canadian. That's a bit better. I thought it was coming in at this. I still think that's too high for what essentially amounts to that traffic game. That's what this is. This is not a cooperative game. This is a solo game. That's what it seems like, as you are moving these cats, and they can only move on the terrain that they like. Because, as I've learned in the past year, cats do whatever they want and will only walk on specific tiles that matches their fur. I've had to change the entire carpet in my apartment, just little pathways. And so it seems fine, like you're gonna be playing these different cards and laying them down in front of cats and making sure that the fire doesn't advance over those cats, and you got to bring those cats to safety. It's a very scary game, especially since the cats won't even move if there's a fire chasing them. They're like, oh wait, that's grass? No, it doesn't feel good on my paws. You idiot, there is a fire. Honestly, if you act like that, maybe you don't deserve to be saved. Just run, just go quickly. Not to mention what kind of landscape this is. I don't know what sort of island they're on. Maybe that's why they're so picky. They've had years of just despair and torment. But that's it. You just want to get your cats to the raft. That's all it is, as the fire consumes everything, as fire is known to do. That was for my patrons. What? An inside joke that you're not a part of? Oh, join Patreon. I mean, I think it will be fun. I think it will be satisfying, but I also don't think you need to spend £50 plus shipping. I do like that they have the rulebook readily available, although it's over halfway down the page. And then shipping is, it's okay. $10 US, £14, which goes down when you get the deluxe edition. They're obviously subsidizing, or it's just baked into the deluxe edition cost. That seems like it is specifically targeted for me to promote the deluxe edition being a good deal, and I will not fall for it. It's not that much of a difference. I don't know, it just feels like that traffic jam game to me, and if this was an app, I think it would be really awesome and super fun to get, but I don't want to spend $100 for what I could get from an app. But hey, if you're interested in that, check that out. That's Thursday, November 10th at 2 p.m. Moving along to CoraQuest. Keep on questing, the expansion to CoraQuest. Level up your heroes and play through exciting campaigns in this expansion for the family dungeon crawling game. And if you haven't heard of CoraQuest, this is a game that was designed by a father and a daughter. Cora is the daughter, hence the title of the game. Now you're in. And they designed it, I think, over the pandemic, designed as this dungeon crawl for kids. And so they've kept on going, and they've now designed more of it for you. And if you missed that, well, now you can get it for £55 with the expansion and with 5 more dice than the retail version. Take that, retail, you sucker. Having never been a child, I don't know if... No, having always been a child, I still am a child. That's why I do this. Rulebook here, I'd like to see that highlighted a little bit bigger, but, you know. And if you want to bring dungeon crawling to your kids in a non-scary fashion, yeah, check this one out. Decent shipping. I think with this sort of campaign, like, they're not doing it to rip you off or make money. Their profit margins are probably really small, and people have been receiving this really well, and it's a nice father-daughter team to support. What else do you want, really? You want a dungeon crawler to play with your kids? Get one that's designed by a father playing with his kid. My particular child won't step on any carpet that doesn't match his fur, but if you're in a different situation, well then maybe check this out. That finishes November 10th at 4 p.m. Moving along to Mosaic, the Wars and Disasters expansion, and the Premium Colossus edition. And you don't need it. You just don't. Stop it with these colossal editions. Or don't. I mean, if you want a big friggin' honkin' thing, go for it. I've always wanted a big honkin' thing. No, delete that. And here you can get the last chance for the Super Premium Limited Edition while supplies last. These will never be reprinted again. The Colossus Edition, I can count 5 counts of FOMO in that one picture right there. No waiting! Look, you'll get it right now! Yeah, you'll get it because they've got overstock from their previous campaign that they're trying to get off their hands and pass off to you, suckers. Ah, yes, the age-old question. What do you want to get paid in? Stone, food, or ideas? Stop putting ideas into their head. It's my wage. I chose that over bread. I'm so hungry. Just think about something. Okay. Rules 3/4 down the page. Basically, if you're unfamiliar with Mosaic and you're thinking, should I get this game? You're going to populate all of these little hexes with tokens, and there'll be tokens that give you stuff, and there'll be tokens that give you better stuff. The better stuff will usually be on the cities, and then you will choose on your turn to take one of these actions up top. You can work, you can build. Here we go. You can increase the population, you can construct a wonder, you can discover technology, you can tax people. I say that so vehemently because I just finished recording commentary for a game of Great Western Trail where their taxing was heavy. That's over on World Series YouTube channel. No, it's not. It will be on there, I don't know, in a couple weeks. I've got them almost all the commentary done, and now it's just the editing portion. They're really good games, though. If you like watching playthroughs, and I don't even like watching playthroughs, and I still enjoyed watching through and commenting on them, so that should tell you how great they are. The games, not just me. I mean, I am, but I would never be so conceited to say that. You can create a government. Call your government, I don't know, just off the top of my head, Chris Georgiopia. Basically, as you proceed through the games, the 4 spaces that have card decks, building, technology, population, tax, and tariff, as you can see here, they will have an empire scoring card in them. And once 3 of those have been revealed, you will end the game, and whoever has the most victory points wins. It looks fun. I will admit it looks fun. It's been getting really good reviews. The only problem here is, do you want to pay $109 plus 25 shipping to the US or 30 to Canada for even just the Kickstarter version of this game? I don't think you do, when you have something like Tapestry for half price that exists. They're also pushing this Colossus edition. It's not a good campaign page whatsoever, because they tell you what's in the Colossus edition, then there's just a little star here that shows you what's not included in the Sphinx. I guess it's fine. It's better than cluttering up everything, but I prefer to see it and then see it as an actual side-by-side comparison. You just lose the minis and the wood tokens. That's it. That's all you're getting. You're just losing out on a whole bunch of friggin' minis for all of your people and your buildings and your population. And not everything needs to be this Colossus edition, although it probably will make it more fun, right? I don't know. I think this looks like a good game, but I also think it's way too overpriced for what it is. But I understand why people are liking it. They're jumping on to the solid reviews. I agree. It looks solid. It looks streamlined. I just don't know if it's worth it. But if you're interested, check that out. That's Thursday, November 10th at 4 p.m. Next up, we have a game called Tanto Cuore, Memento Mori, Twilight Manor. And this is the 6th installment, oh, this says 6th installation of the Tanto Cuore series that is absolutely haunting. And this, if I am right, is a deck building game. If I'm wrong, then it's not the one that a friend of mine enjoyed. And I'm not going to talk about it. No, it is. And it's kind of your standard deck building game. I mean, don't get it here. I'm only mentioning it because I saw it, and I know I have a friend who, I mean, like more of an acquaintance, I guess. I haven't seen him in years and years. But I remember being over at his house to play some games, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I really like this series, Tanto Cuore," and he was excited when there was another installment coming out. And so that's why I bring it up. But I also think that this is not the sort of thing you back on Kickstarter because there are so many iterations of it, and this can't possibly be the thing that you jump in on. So that's all I'm going to say about it, really. If you like deck builders and you like the art style and theme of this, then look into this series a little bit more because I have one single recommendation from it, and those word of mouth things are usually decent. But that's, again, all I'm going to touch on this time in this briefest crowdfunding countdown because I just don't think it's worth purchasing right now. No, I'm not doing my due diligence. I'll give you a breakdown of the mechanics. Now, you know what? I gotta take it back. It's a bit boring. It says it combines worker placement and deck building, but it's just about serving and employing your little maids, and I think a lot of the draw is just, if you like that anime style. Let's just move on. Let's not waste your time or mine. And let's move on to something that I am excited to check out, and that, of course, is 20 Strong, which is by Chip Theory Games. And, oh, Chip Theory, you've raised almost $500,000 Canadian, and you've done it through the most beautiful sound anyone has ever seen. The opposite of this shirt. There is free shipping on all the pledges. Oh, Chip Theory, just give me a smoke, why don't you? But this is a one-player only game. This is a solo one-player only game, and if you're a solo player, you're probably already in on it because you're like, a solo game by Chip Theory Games. They know me. They love me. I'm in. I get to roll some fun dice and flip over cards in worlds that I know, and also Solar Sentinels. And of course, all cards are PVC and foil highlighted because that's just how Chip Theory rolls. And this is a very simple game. Rulebook, well, it's game found. Oh, why don't you have you just have a how to play and collect them all. I guess it's in the how to play section. That's fine. Here's the thing. Well, I'll explain how the game works first, and then I'll tell you the thing. You know what the thing is. Money! Well, I don't have enough of it. It's a very simple game. This outline is really all you need. When you click through to the rulebook, you get this sort of two-pager that I've zoomed in on. This two-pager that breaks down the common rules of play, and then you can also have the one for the specific Solar Sentinels, but this is a good breakdown of it. You're going to pick a challenge. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to roll this many dice. You're going to roll those dice. You're going to see if you hit. If you hit, you get a bonus. If you don't hit, you can re-roll according to a certain stat. If when you finish the challenge, you don't get to take back your dice, you only get to take back your dice according to your specific stat, your morale stat. Keep on moving through the deck till you hit the final boss, get the final boss, you win. And so this is a little bit more rudimentary than I was hoping for, and I guess the excitement will be leveling up your stats and choosing which challenges to face and choosing which bosses to attempt. I think the progression of leveling up your stats is going to be interesting. I think it's going to kind of give you a similar feeling of a kind of Too Many Bones in terms of, oh, here's an encounter. Should we attempt this encounter or should we just not? And whatever happens, you're still going to keep progressing towards that final boss, and it's that final boss that will determine if you win or you die. And so that's why I think Too Many Bones is actually a good package to package with it. But I don't like that the base game is $30 US, 40 Canadian. I do like that. I do like that a lot. I don't like that to add a Too Many Bones and a Victorum deck, you're over doubling it. You know the dice are going to be cool. You know they've been adding baddies and other things, but those aren't stretch goals. Those are just things in the deck that they didn't tell you about. And my issue with this bump in the cost is that they know you're going to want it all. And it's only a 54 card deck, and it's because they make their decks out of PVC is why it has to be so much more expensive, and it could be more accessible, but that's not necessarily Chip Theory's jam. So that's my hesitation with the 20 Strong. Likely you're still getting a deal because they'll sell these for $20-ish at a convention or at retail setting. So they're selling them right now for $17.50. Yeah, $17.50 each. if you're intrigued by the system, this will give you a bunch of variability, but there's going to be other campaigns of this thing. So maybe just get the base pledge and see if that's exciting enough for you, and see if you're engrossed in the system enough, or if the rolling of the dice just becomes repetitive. It just becomes you're just sitting alone in your room, just, rolling dice, rolling and seeing what happens, and just exploring the world when you're rolling those dice alone. I can think of another campaign where you can use those dice for a similar purpose. So I would just get the base game for $30 if you're a solo player. You get a bunch of chip theory dice, which are always really well made. Really not a bad pick at all. I wouldn't add in the Too Many Bones and the Victorum decks. I wouldn't. I think that's too much. But for $30, which includes shipping, that is bananas. That really is bananas. I can't express that enough. The $30 version, this is the ultimate deal. And this is where, if you like chip theory, you can give them some money. But I like the ultimate deal more than I like chip theory. I mean, I like chip theory a lot, to be fair. They've really won me over, and they continue to do so with this sort of thing. And we were having this discussion in the Discord. People were a bit annoyed by this free shipping statement because they thought, well, no, it's not really free shipping. They're subsidizing from other things. They're increasing costs for some other people because my shipping would be cheaper anyway. So they're likely making me pay a little bit more to subsidize the other area. I understand that method of thinking, but I also think Chip Theory is a company that has always subsidized shipping. They have always taken a loss on shipping because they've always tried to keep their shipping low. And so I think if they're operating in this loss on shipping model, which is consistent across their products, and why their products in general potentially are higher because, well, no, that's just because of the premium quality material. I do understand the thinking, but I don't care as much because logistically, after having poured through so many different campaigns, we'll take Mosaic, for example. You've got the US at 25, UK at 15 pounds, Australia, New Zealand 26, Europe 21 euros. The fluctuation here, right, isn't that significant. It's a little bit more significant for Canada. But honestly, we just hate Canada. Anyone from Canada just doesn't deserve anything. That's what I feel. When you look at all the other Kickstarter campaigns, there's often a larger bump in shipping to obscure places, but that's because less people from those places order, in part. And so I think while I understand those concerns, I think the difference is going to be fairly negligible. And realistically, from what I know about chip theory, they're probably just taking a larger loss on the places that it costs to ship more than they are to ship to the US, for example. And that might feel like, I want to have the same deal, but you've gotten a deal. They were giving a deal. They're just giving a deal to everyone, and they're losing more in some cases. That's kind of how I look at it. That's kind of how I feel. And I think just free shipping, well, you can't really say free shipping and then $2 to Canada and then 22 to that one person who wants to get it over in, I don't know, Sudan. That's not as catchy. And they'd likely just take a loss so that it can be more catchy. So because of that, I mean, I think this base game is a good pick if you're a solo player, even though the system doesn't sound that interesting to me. I just think it's a good deal. So if you're interested in that, check that out. That finishes in 4 days on the 10th at 6 p.m. 4 days from now. So 3 days. 3 days, probably a little bit over 4 days. Moving along to Kitsunedo. Find your kindred spirit lord, well, at least not a spirit animal, and wield their power in this battle royale card game of strategy and deception. I like deception. That deception's just okay. Avalon's better. All right, this isn't a best campaign page because there's no rulebook on it, and I hate that. This is basically, if you like coup, and I like coup, it intrigues me. You'll have your own little character, and then you'll get a special ability as well, and that's where you can claim, these are the lanterns, and you can claim to have any of the lanterns as long as you're not challenged. And if you are challenged, then you'll take damage or you'll lose your hand, you'll get penalized in some sort of way. Because this is a battle royale style game, you want to murder the other players dead around the table. So you keep doing that until everyone's dead. Everybody, just everyone is dead. It's was called Suicide Pact, the board game, and then they got a cease and desist by a cult in the area. It was a whole thing. That's not true. That's a joke. I'm a professional here. My family was kidnapped by bears. It looks fun. It does look fun. I think I would enjoy playing this, but it's $40 Australian, 35 Canadian. That's like 26 US plus $20 Australian shipping. So it's like $50 Canadian to get to my door. And when you compare the amount of shipping that it costs to ship something little to 20 Strong, which is giving it to you for free, I think you can see that they're probably still taking it on a loss. I mean, this is a smaller campaign, and that's why the shipping costs are going to be a lot higher. But I mean, it looks fun, but it's just way too expensive for what it is. But if that brief description tickled your senses, got your ideas percolating, well, check it out. That finishes Thursday, November 10th at 6:47 p.m. Now, moving along to the only thing on BackerKit this week, and that is the Aegean Sea, which is by Carl Chudik. Carl Chudik of Innovation and Red 7 fame. That's right, his most famous game, Red 7, appearing in the coveted Room and Board affordable game deathmatch. We're not going to talk about Glory to Rome. No. We're talking about Red 7, Carl Chudik's only game. Good on you, BackerKit, for adding in rulebook and playthroughs. I still hate that the pledge levels are in a different area and you got to click back and forth. God, that's annoying. And this shares a lot of DNA with Innovation. I think you're going to have these multi-use cards, and on your turn you can choose, you can turn them into their own island and put them somewhere in the middle, as you can see the little island thing here, or you can use them for their action, and there'll be a little color here which will designate the action that you're supposed to use them for, and you can end up putting them underneath and adding to various islands and increasing your presence there and your ships and your populace and goods which everybody wants and temples, etc. You want to control a lot of the land. You just want to control everything, like everyone in ancient Greece and Rome always wanted. I just want everything. But I don't want you to have any ideas of independence or nothing. No, I want everything just to have it. Just so you can't, I can't even walk there. It's way too big, but I still want it. I just want it. That's what you want. Aegean Sea, you just want it. And your points are going to be whoever can basically get the most goods. That's it. It's $30, so $10 shipping, so $40 US. I mean, just get Innovation, honestly, or wait until this is in stores. You're not getting anything beneficial by purchasing it now and paying for the shipping so that your local game store doesn't have to. Pretty simple choice. Let's move on to Monsters, the Dead, a deduction bluffing card game celebrating the slashes of 1980 cinema. Other sets include classic movie monsters and sea monsters. Look, they're getting you on the hook by saying, listen, we've got so many sets in this social deduction game. It says we can learn the rules in under a minute. Okay, start the clock. Here we go. There's a pool of 4 cards, monsters, each worth up to 12 points at the end of the game. And tactical, no, if I say it like that, I'm not even listening to myself. I've seen this before. That's what it is, monsters and the things that destroy them. I remember this campaign. You can't pull a fast one on me. So this is just an expansion to that. You want to collect a monster and the thing that destroys them. If you do, you then get to score the points for that monster. You see the alien's worth 10, but the doll is only worth 1, but you can also use the cards for their ability. It seemed fun. I like that this price point seems a little bit cheaper than before, and the shipping estimate's $3 US. That feels more along the right price range, especially because it was a lot more expensive last time at $15 with $10 shipping. That's why I was not interested. 25 at 18 or 11 for the US. Seems like they figured something out. That's actually now worth considering. It's not a bad little card game. I don't think it's a bad little card game at all. And I like that the price is reduced. So this is the time to get it. Hope you didn't get it last time. Check this one out this Thursday, November 10th at 10 p.m. Moving along to Builders of Blankenburg. Oh no, it's just Blankenburg. Blankenburg is something different. And yes, I only wanted to look at this campaign to say that. And now that I've said that, do I continue to look? That's the real question. Let's watch the video and see if there's anything worth talking about. This actually looks kind of cute. It's a very simple game. You're going to bid for resources. The resources located here, and you're going to use those resources to build buildings to satisfy the whims of the people who are coming to town. The priest is like, hey, I want to sleep here. I'm only going to sleep in the parish, in the chapel, or in the brothel as my last resort, just because, you know, Jesus was friends with all the the hookers, and that's the reason I spend so much time there. You'll have kind of a ranking of places where they will want to stay, and you're going to try to build your buildings, and you only have a limited amount of space, and you're hoping to satisfy all the whims of all the people coming to your town. Shipping is to the US. That looks like it's US 11. And then to the rest of the world, it's 20. So it'd be $50 US if you live in the US. If you like bidding and building and winning, as their old catchphrase goes, then maybe check it out. It does seem kind of cute. The art isn't anything to write home about, but I could see there being some interesting interplay. I could also see this being a game where you play it once and never play it again. But I could see that being a lot of games. Let's be real. You've done that with too many. Get them off your shelf. I know from personal experience. I'm not throwing shade here just to throw shade. I know. I'm throwing shade because I am one of you. But if you're interested in that, check it out. That's Thursday, November 10th at 10 p.m. 10 more tabs. These are getting longer and longer. It's like people love board games or something. Moving along to Delta, which is an adventurous strategic board game for 2 to 4 players. Wow, a strategic board game. This is really exciting to me now. I've never seen a strategic board game before. Have you heard about this? Wow. Delta, the strategic board game. This might be the most innovative of the genre. And this just in, Game Brewer has no longer decided to send me Oak to review. Unrelated, I'm sure.
Say hi to the people.
Actually, really nice campaign page. They tell you, listen, it's going to be at retail, just in not this deluxified version. So if you're cheapo, Chris George from Room and Board, if you highlight it, it's in invisible ink somewhere, and you don't want this strategic board game, beautiful pieces, well then don't worry about it. Then it has a little gameplay breakdown, and then it's got a rule book right at the top. Very nice. Good job, Game Brewer. Or good job if your rulebook ever loads, which it may not. I take it all back. Nope, doesn't work in Microsoft Edge either, but really, what has ever worked in Microsoft Edge? Yeah, the rulebook is really just, hey, click here, we swear there's a rulebook. Let's see if Tabletopia has a rulebook. That's better. Tabletopia, once again, clutch. Really nice short rulebook. 16 pages for such a strategic game? Sounds like something that's easy to learn and hard to master. And this seems like a neat little one. There are 3 sections that you have to manage, and you're going to be using your workers all throughout. You've got your sort of industry inventive section, your exploration section, and then your research section. You're going to have to manage and get points for all these things. This place helps determine initiative and helps you add more cards to your deck. It's not really a deck. It's not a deck builder. It's more of a hand builder, because you're going to have 3 piles of discarded people, and at the end of your turn you get to pick up one of those piles and discard the other 2. So you're managing swapping in and out and adding new people to those various piles and using those characters to put out onto the board. And those characters will act as sort of your workers, and you'll place them beneath the section at which you want to play in, and then you'll do their ability. And the characters will have different abilities depending where they go, will have different specialties depending on what you need. So that's kind of fun that you have these variable worker placement style of game. I'm not sure the difference between retail and Kickstarter, because in this Kickstarter exclusive, we have the game board. So sorry, if you get it at retail, you're not going to get a game board. You're just going to have to imagine it all in your head. Same with the player boards. It's Kickstarter exclusive. So no player boards for you either. You're just going to have to picture that. There are character cards, but they're Kickstarter exclusive as well. And then there's animal cards, which you can use for your research development. But those, they're Kickstarter exclusive. There's a bunch of mission cards that you can use to complete for objectives and points, but those are Kickstarter exclusive. And of course, you can't really end the game if you get it in the retail version, because you don't have the last round cards, and you can't start the game because you don't have the basic character cards. And then also you don't get any turn order bonuses, because one of my favorite things is that in the turn order you get bonuses depending on when you go in the turn order. I like those things. So going first obviously benefits you, but going third you get an extra token that you can use to get another airship, for example. But you don't get those in the retail edition either. But you do get 25 flasks, 25 crystals, and 1 round marker in the base game. So that's good. And some turn order markers. But you don't, unfortunately, get the rule book in the retail edition as well. So that's a shame, but you know what? That's what happens. That's what happens when you get it at retail. you miss out on everything that's Kickstarter exclusive. And in this case, you just miss you get to miss out on the game. These are just upgraded bits, to be clear. So it's 75 euros, $101. When I saw this, I thought, yeah, you know what price I want it to be? I want it to be 55 to 60. And that's what it would be if you were a subscriber to the Game Brewer Club, which basically means you just pay your extra discount up front and then get 25% off. But you're paying it up front because you've already agreed to pay for it and you're just, supporting their games that way. It's an interesting model that I don't see a lot of people doing. I think Stonemaier does it a bit too. Here's the actual differences between retail and Kickstarter. Shipping, unfortunately, 15 to US, 20 to Canada, but additional copies gives you a discount. So I love seeing that. I love seeing that there's the ability for group buys if people wanted to get on board. Still, for me, this is a retail consideration. Again, it falls into the category, as most games do, that I would play it. I absolutely play it. I think I would have a great time. I think this one looks most intriguing to me over the stuff that Game Brewer has been putting out lately. I think this does look more intriguing than Oak. I know that was their last one over on GameFound. And VAT is included with their stuff, so that's important for all you people who live in Europe. So check that out if you're interested. That finishes Friday, November 11th at 8 a.m. Next up, we have the Game of Elements, which is 80% fun and 20% education. So I'm 20% sure that I was just including it for that tagline, and it's not actually a good game at all, and we're going to skip it because, look, it's raised $6,600 with 68 backers. That means people are donating to make it look good. Goodbye. That was easy. Let's go on to the Life of Amazonia, where you can build your very own thriving jungle by discovering various wild animals, insects, and plants in this beautiful board game. See, this is a beautiful board game. It's not a strategic one. This one is just beautiful. I'm fairly certain that Delta was a little bit more beautiful, but look at all these shapes. Who doesn't want those shapes? I'm sure those shapes won't be a deluxified edition. Actually, I am sure. It does look good, but I'm dang the price, because it's 65 US, 88 Canadian, and then plus shipping, it's gonna be over $100 for me, and I want it for 60. Or okay, rulebook top quarter of the page, that's good. I want it for 60, or I'll just go out and purchase Cascadia or Wild Serengeti. I do love this though. People, take note. Make us some own little storage containers from cardboard, from a simple cardboard punch out. That's all you need. You can create organizers for cheap. This is incredible. Honestly, might have to back it just to support this sort of innovation. No, it's $100. Slow your roll. Oh, wouldn't you know it? It's by the same creators of Wild Serengeti. Yes, it is pronounced Serengeti. I'm sticking with the original title. That's a deep cut for those in the know. I remember Sholia, Warring States being something I was really seriously considering, and then just didn't pull the trigger on. Back to reading. Stop interrupting me. What are you still doing here? No, please don't leave. I need you desperately. And actually, a pretty bad video in terms of describing how to play, because there's a heavy emphasis on bag building, and that is not represented in the video. It's not a great rule book. It isn't, but you're going to be pulling out 5 resources sort of every round, and then you're going to be using those resources to do stuff. Purchase more resources, make your bag better, purchase more sets of land, creating an ecological wilderness, adding some beautiful trees or aquatic flowers or animals who want to be in a specific type. And this is the thing that I think will interest me the most. And also, look at these friggin' meeples. Of course it's the part that you're interested the most. But I'm more interested in the pattern and the shifting of the pattern and shifting of different patterns of terrain. Oh, the meeples look cute. That's what brought me to Wild Serengeti. And this is where they get you. They're going to want you to upgrade the resources and the base stuff. And you don't need to. Just get to shipping. There we go. That cures me. 16 to the States, 23 to Canada. So for just the base game, it's $88. 110? Nope, 118. My math was wrong. $118 Canadian. This is a game I would happily pay 60 for, but certainly not double that. It does look good though. It does look fun. I think it legitimately looks fun. If you can get it at a good deal, well, maybe it's a good purchase. It's just too expensive for me, but yeah, it looks fun. I like bag builders. I like the way that the scoring interacts with each other and how each animal is unique in terms of how it scores, and so you have to balance those sorts of things. I really like games like that. But again, it makes me just want to go purchase Cascadia instead, which I can get for $30 maybe? Probably. It's 50 at these random Google ads, so I'm assuming at 401 Games it's 30. Maybe it's 40. 35. Plus, that's one of the ones in World Series of Board Gaming. Better get training, or I better get training to comment on it. Anyway, yeah, looks good. Honestly, I've been impressed with the quality of Bad Comets games. Everything that they've put out, I've always thought, yeah, that looks fun. Just a bit too pricey for me. So it's the same stance with this, but I'm happy I checked it out. Happy it looks good. If you're interested in that, that finishes November 11th at 8:30 a.m. Moving along to Destinies, the Witchwood expansion and reprint. I've been doing this for such a long time that I forgot that this also was in this week, even though I just made this. All these tabs. And Destinies is an interesting one because it provides this sort of large scope of a game, or at least it feels like a large scope of a game to me, yet it's fairly cheap. Not the quality, just the game. I also think it's really cool that they have that whole community-driven app where you can design your own scenarios. Carly from Gnarly Carly Gaming, who works for Lucky Duck now, was demoing that at Origins, and it looked pretty neat. Yes, if you're new to Destinies and would like all of the gameplay content, deluxified components, and a Destinies deluxe storage solution, well then this is the pledge for you. Oh yeah, if you're new and you just need everything because you're an addict, well, why not get this one? Save $50 on a game that will cost you $40 in stores. Yep, $41.95 Canadian. That's the thing about this campaign. If you have Destinies, you already know if you want more of it. If you don't have Destinies, don't get suckered in by this. Remember that your retail store will have it for cheaper, because mine certainly does. But Lucky Duck certainly knows how to run a campaign page, and I like Lucky Duck games a lot. I like that they brought Flamecraft into the masses now. I like what they do with Chronicles of Crime, even though I'm kind of, waning on that. Or I think it's just a one-player game. Destiny seems interesting to me because it is this sort of competitive RPG versus a lot of these things seem like they're co-ops. And in it, you get all these minis that, you don't need for their app-driven games, since so much of it is on the app. That's just how I feel. Yeah, there we go. The community editor. I love this. I absolutely love that Lucky Duck has this sort of thing, because people who are passionate can create new content for everybody. It puts new life into the game. It creates free content for them because they just run one contest and give away $3,000 and get literally unlimited campaigns. Hopefully, I don't know how that went for them, but I hope it went well. And good shipping if you live in Poland. Anywhere else, I think this is just a wait for retail sort of thing, right? Like, you get that $10 free, but you're also spending that much in shipping. I think the downside of Destinies, and people really like it, but the downside is you need to be in the mood to just run around and listen to a story. And sometimes I'm in that mood and sometimes I'm not. Going into this, you need to know that it's not going to blow your mind wide open. It's just you run around and you make some choices, and it honestly gives me the same vibe as a better Betrayal House on the Hill, which is a great thing because Betrayal is fun. But the choices of stuff, you're gathering items and you're exploring a map and you're leveling up your stats and you're rolling some dice to see what happens. Did you make the check or didn't you? That's a fun time, and in an affordable package at retail for sure. So I wouldn't get it here, but I would look into it at retail, because I think Lucky Duck stuff is really reasonably priced as well. Anyway, check that out. That finishes on the 11th as well, Friday at 5 p.m. Moving along to Alhambra, the Red Palace by Queen Games. And I've only got one thing to say for Queen Games, and that's we're moving along to Tesseract, a cooperative dice manipulation game. I've been waiting to do that joke this entire time. Save the world from the mysterious alien device that is hovering over the planet. I saw this somewhere. I can't remember where. Where are you? Where are you? There we go. 3/4 down the page. And this game looks fun, although the custom dice look a bit hokey. Not a bit hokey, but are completely unnecessary because they're used just as the number throughout the game. They're like, yeah, look at all these cool custom dice symbols that are just, make it a little bit harder to read because we've just connected the pips with lines. That's it. You can see the pips here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, that's a different 6. See, the other 6 would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But that's a cube. Look at that. But this one actually looks pretty fun. I forget where I saw this, but it definitely looks better than some of Smirk and Dagger's other games, which will remain nameless, so I don't get 52 copies of The Night Cage in the mail from my patrons who think that's a funny joke, which it would be. Oh, please, no. Thank goodness that sale was only one day. It's a cooperative dice game where you want to contain the Tesseract. There are 64 dice, and you have to contain 32 of those dice. 4 times 6. Nope. 24 of those dice. So you've got a lot of dice to work with. You can take some actions. You can increase and decrease the value of a cube by 1, that's why the symbols are annoying. You can transfer, you can move them from one player's lab to another, and you're trying to create these sets, right? You see, this is a run of 3, 2, 3, 4. That's why this is a set, and that's why you can take one of those dice and contain it, putting it on this containment board, which you want to fill up. You also have your different researchers, which have unique actions, and then the Tesseract will throw away cubes, which you have to manage as well, so that, like Pandemic, if you get 3 of a kind, there will be a breach that happens, and you'll lose and not win, like this end of the GIF sequence is telling you. Looks great. $50, 55 MSRP. That means you should wait till retail, because the shipping will be more than $5. Simple as that. I don't understand why we don't get that. And the stretch goals are fine. The main thing here is there's going to be these sexy dice. Excuse me, Tesseract. I think we know that there's only one type of sexy dice here, and they do not need mentioning by name, because we all know it's devilish dice. And this is kind of cool. This is a good sell. It's because you demanded it. And this is, I think, what crowdfunding is for. Everyone who demoed it saw these metal dice and were like, these dice, they're really nice. I like metal dice. I really like throwing these dice at my table and just hunking chunks out of the wood. That's what I love. So you can get a metal dice version for $130. That's what you can get. And he's saying they cost $80 a set. So he's basically saying that they are not making money off of this. And if that is true, I'm thrilled about it. That's a cool initiative to push your game forward. Yeah, you're making money off your game, but you're like, hey, I'll go the extra mile, try to get these dice for everyone who wants them, and sell them at cost. I hope that's true. I hope it's true. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm not going to say I don't think it's true. I'm going to say that I hope it's true, because I believe in humanity. Yes, though. Here we go. $16 or $20 to Canada for those $5 in shipping saving. Why would you ever do it? I don't know. But this actually looks like a solid game. A co-op, Pandemic-like, with dice, moving things around, manipulating things around, and I like the variable setup of just having this big cube. This big cube as a set piece feels fun to me. This one, I think, is definitely better than the Night Cage. And if you like the Night Cage, well, then you've got to like this one. That finishes Friday, November 11th at 11 p.m. A few more. Next up, we have Micro Mars. Mission to Micro Mars. It's a fun, fast, roll and write game of open space adventure and exploration. Another one of these $5 roll and writes. You're going to roll 2 dice. They're going to give you shapes. You can't orient them, but you can smush them together, and then you can make a route to collect to your spaceship. That's it. But hey, at least their video has an astronaut playing the electric guitar. That's how you know it's cool. This doesn't seem inspired to me. There have been other better $5 roll and writes, but it's $5. I wouldn't ever really be interested in playing this one. But if that interests you, the one sentence that I said about it, check that out. That's Saturday, November 12th at 6:59 a.m. There's not really much more to the game, and there's not really a good rule book whatsoever, but you do get 3 maps, so look at that value. Okay. Next, we're going to touch on Home, the Haunted House map building RPG. Again, I don't usually cover RPGs, but I'm mentioning this because one of my patrons thought it looked cool, and when one of my patrons thinks it looks cool, I trust them because, again, they have exceptional taste. This is an RPG where players are cooperatively building a haunted house. So you'll have this dry erase house map board and 4 dry erase markers, and you're going to be building this together with a bunch of card decks to prompt the creation of various things, to prompt the creation of characters, to prompt the creation of the adventure. My patron who's backing this was saying that he's most interested in it as a resource for his own sort of board game and design creation, but he said it also looked like a cool little game to grab. And at $20 for a print and play, or $40 for a box set, honestly, that's not too bad. I mean, you're just getting a dry erase board and the rule book and the cards, right? So depends what you think. But this is an example of how you are mapping out your own house and creating this spooky house. And it's like a better betrayal house on the hill because you're creating it yourself and using your creativity. So I just wanted to mention that. If you're interested in RPGs or that sounds neat to you, now you know about it because thanks to a lovely patron for giving that the shout out. Next up, move over rags to riches. We've got Vendel the Viking, which endeavors to immerse players in the 250-year Nordic culture prior to the Viking era, but doesn't necessarily promise it succeeds. We're going to try to immerse you 250-year Nordic culture, but let's be real, that's a long time period, and we can only do so much in 60 to 120 minutes. And this just broke my heart. I saw a book, and I saw it was at the top of the page, and I thought, could this be? Could Vendel have finally won its way into my heart? Oh, I get it. Yeah, it's the Vendel era. I prefer to think of it as a young whippersnapper named Vendel, who on their pursuit to become a Viking. Very similar to How to Train Your Dragon. Now, this is just rude. I can't click that either. It's showing me the rulebook. It says, you want to see the rulebook? I'll show you the damn rulebook. Here it is. Come on. It's got to be after this. There we go. Not my favorite rulebook of all time, but the video that Meeple Mountain did was pretty good. And these gifts give you enough, or at least enough for me, to describe how the game works. Some exciting things is this little family tree. Everybody starts with a family tree, and you're going to be getting characters and adding them to your family tree, and these little empty gray spots will represent little workers that you can then retrieve and add to your sort of main worker board. And when you add them to here, each worker that you add will have a special action that they can do, or they can take any one of the basic actions. It's going to be area control. You're going to want to put down these ventures, which will make different effects in the land, and you can try to control these spots. And at the end of the game, you get points for however much stuff you've controlled and however many achievements you've unlocked for doing various things on the board. But I love the variable worker placement. I love how you can upgrade your family tree with different cards, and all those cards do different things. This one actually looks, yeah, really fun. It's scratching an itch for me that I didn't know existed. It's pretty expensive though, 70 bucks US, 69 euros, 69 bucks US, or $93 Canadian, and then it's 10 to 15 shipping to US and Canada, 15 to 20 European Union. So for me, again, it's over that $100 bar. And this is one that, if it was 60, maybe if it was 70, I would pull the trigger on it. Not for over 100, but I like area control, and I like asymmetrical stuff that you get to build out over the course of the game. That feels fun to me. And the variable workers, yeah, there's just a lot of mechanics that I like are in this game. And so I am hoping that it will all meld into something nice. So yeah, this one was actually a surprise to me. I think it should have more funding than it does. It's certainly better than a lot that we've covered this week, or I think it looks better than a lot that we've covered this week. So check that one out. That finishes November 14th, Monday at 9:59 a.m. And finally, our last one, which may not even be good because it's got 54 backers. We've got Seasons of Arcadia, a thematic abstract game based upon the dynamic struggle between the fairy lords of summer, autumn, winter, and spring. Here's the thing, though. This is what I like to see. This is what I like to see. Boom. Rules right away. Give it to me, Seasons of Arcadia. Are you going to be the pick of the week? You probably will, because boom, right at the top of the page. Nothing fancy. Only 30 bucks. Give me something good. I want to purchase you. Okay, so this is checkers with seasons where your pieces don't start on the board. That's pretty much what it is. $41 Canadian. Oh no, where's the shipping? Shipping better be listed here. It is. Canada, 12 bucks shipping to Canada. That's pretty good to Canada. Everywhere else is horrible comparatively. United States is 10. So 42 US, $50 Canadian, seasonal checkers. So here's the thing. You can do 3 actions on your turn. You can place a lord, you can move a lord to an adjacent unoccupied space, or you can jump over another lord. And if you jump over a lord of a specific season, then you can turn it into that season. So spring can turn summer, summer can turn autumn, autumn can turn winter, winter can turn spring. Really, thematically, it should be the other way, right? Spring should jump over winter and then turn winter, because otherwise we're going backwards in time, because spring is replacing summer and really summer should replace spring. Isn't that how that should work? It's weird that you can only replace one season, and so therefore the two-player game seems more interesting to me because you're controlling two seasons. I want to because it's got the rules right up front. Now, I did say if the rules were here, I would back it on the spot. It's not. It's here, so I'm safe in terms of my bet. I think it's going to be a pass for what it is. I just wouldn't get it to the table, but it looks really nicely created, and I don't mind checkers. I still don't mind checkers. Legit. It's fine. So yeah, first player to get 12 lords of either of your seasons on the board, you win. I think it's a pass, but I'm just really happy about the rulebooks, and you know what? They've hit their funding goal. It was a small funding goal, and they've hit it, and so I'm glad, and this will be produced, and I'm thrilled. So check that out if you're interested. That finishes Monday, November 14th at 11 a.m., and that is it. That's all we're doing this week. It was a long week, but I think a decent week, you know? Thanks for sticking with me. So every week, I think I have my work cut out for me because every week I got a pick for me and a pick for you. The pick for me being the thing that I'm the most interested in, and the pick for you being the thing that I think you should back. No, let me rephrase that. The pick for you being the thing that I think if you back, you will enjoy and you will get a decent value out of it. And I want you to back it so that I can play it. And this is a tough week. Tough week. I think there is a pick for me. I'm just going through them now. I know that's the pick for you. That's close, but I think it's too expensive. See, look at this. Oh no, that's the pick for you. It's gotta be. It does have to be. There's a lot of good ones. All right, let's go through the contenders. Destinies, no, better at retail. Life of Amazonia, I thought looked cool. Delta, better at retail. Vendel the Viking, legit is close in contention. In another week, it might get the nod. But I think the pick for me, yeah, I think Cthulhu Death May Die is the pick for me. Oh, it's the pick for me. I'm getting hyped about it, and I'm getting excited about it. And that's what it's all about, right? Like, if you can't quench your excitement, then you should get it. You shouldn't get it if you're not excited for that base game, and you're only excited for the friggin' Kickstarter arriving at your door, which is still what is happening to me, and is still something I am fighting against. But the pick for me is Cthulhu Death May Die. I think for $100, the stuff that you get for $100 feels good. Now, you have to factor in the shipping, right? So it's not $100, and the freight is added on top, so it's really $120. Think of it as $120. If it's $120, and really it's $133 at minimum, but we can add some shipping cost on it. If it's $133, okay, let's call it $160. If it's $160 plus, you're getting that season 4. So it's $225. Are you still interested? I am a bit. No, I'm not. That's absurd. I forgot what the number was. I got twisted by the tentacles. Anyway, the Cthulhu Death May Die is the pick for me. It's the one that I am the most interested in. And my pick for you, it's going to be 20 strong. My patrons called it. They said, listen, it's got free shipping. This is the pick for you. And I said, well, not necessarily. And no, not necessarily. I might take it back because I really don't think the gameplay looks that inspiring. And I'm just getting sucked in by the deal. And that's me being a bad boy. Screw it. You know what my pick for you is? My pick for you is Vendel to Viking. Yeah, I want to highlight this. I think it does look good. I think it doesn't have free shipping. Oh, no. But I think it looks fun. I like that. I like a lot of the mechanics in it, like I just finished saying. I'm not going to rehash that, but I'm going to make Vendel to Viking the official pick for you. With a unofficial shout out if you're a solo player who loves rolling dice. Well, then you're already in on Solar Sentinels. And it's a good deal. So like it's that base pledge is a good deal. Let me clarify. Yeah, but Vendel the Viking, I'm intrigued. I'm kind of swayed by it. I'm swayed by it more than Delta and Life of Amazonia, which I also thought looked good. And the other one that I was contemplating is Pampero, which just looks gorgeous, but I'm not 100% convinced it's going to hook you in. I think there's a lot going on, and I think that sort of like complicatedness will maybe repel some people, and I'm not really convinced that it's going to hook you in, but I think the production quality here is going to be very good. That's what I can say. Anyway, that's my pick for me. That's my pick for you. That's it for the week. What a week. It was a big one with a big Cthulhu in there, a big Riley in there. I would never do that. I would never do that. You can see my inner turmoil that I contain in the other videos. These are my more personal ones where we can just hang out and talk about games upcoming. That was a big week. I don't know how long this episode is. I said the last time there was a long one that it was my longest ever, and who knows, this could be longer if I keep on rambling or not. Thanks for being here. Let me know out of these which you're interested in. Does anything excite you? Do you want Zach to do that monthly RPG spotlight? If that would be something that would interest people, I'll make him do it. And if he doesn't, I'm going to kidnap his family. I only learned that from the best. I am being a professional. I'm being a professional kidnapper. Anyway, let me know what you are excited about this week or upcoming. We'll see if the crowdfunding keeps on counting down. I'm sure we will have episodes all through November. And then when we get to December, we'll make the call, and there'll be some other content that I can do, like ranking all of the $1 million Kickstarters. I'm going to make that a yearly thing. I'm excited to do that because we're nearing the end and there have been some good ones. Although, Death May Die is, well, it'll be up there. I've got to review everything. I kind of forget what's out there, and I'll give everything a good review, but that's something I'm excited to go through and rank and see what's happened. So anyway, that's it for me. Thank you again for sticking around. Thank you for subscribing. If you're here and you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? How did you sit through all this and you didn't subscribe yet? It's not that much of a commitment. It's less of a commitment than your previous failed relationship, and that ended perfectly for you, I assume. So just do it. Anyway, thanks everybody. My name is Chris George, and I don't have a catchphrase. I don't have a catchphrase on this shirt. I don't. There's no catchphrase for me. Because if you remember, I'm a professional and my entire family was kidnapped by bears. Good night, good morning, good evening, and good luck. See you in the next video.